Welcome back to another episode of the Employee to Boss podcast. I'm your host, Haley Hayhurst. I am the owner of Espresso Podcast Production, a full-service podcast agency specializing in editing, marketing, and strategy. Today's episode is super special to me because it's with my longest client. We've been working together for about 2 years. Her name is Grinspun, and she is a personal branding coach and photographer who helps women show up online and really be confident in what they do. So if you don't have a personal brand, the truth is you do. You do already have a personal brand. Each and every one of us has a personal brand. But what helps people do is be very intentional with their personal brand. So instead of letting other people perceive you how they perceive you, you're in control of how you're being perceived. So she works with her clients to help them show up online as their true authentic self and be able to get themselves clients through what they call themselves, what they post. And so she works with people who are new in business. She is having a 5-day personal branding boot camp coming up. It is free, and you can find the link to that in the show notes. And I help Ati with this every single year. I started off as her virtual assistant, but now that I've transformed into podcasting full time, there's still here and there that we work together, and this boot camp is actually one of them. She helps her clients get themselves on podcasts, and that's something that I help my clients with too, and we have a lot of similarities in that sense. So if you want to show up stronger online and actually have an online presence that brings you in clients, this is the episode for you. Be sure to connect with Ati. I love her so much, so definitely go connect with her and let me know what you think of the episode. Ati, welcome to the show. I am so excited that you're here. We have been working together for almost 2 years now, which is insane to me. Us watching each other grow our businesses, where we started versus where we are now. It's just been an amazing journey. So thanks for joining me today.
I am so excited. It's for me to see you go from when you were just my VA, right? And I say just, but not taking anything away from you, because you always know how I tell people my business would have not been where it is today without you. But now having your podcast, your business, your courses, everything, it's so amazing to watch you soar.
It's been amazing watching your journey too, because when we first started working together, you were doing network marketing and I was working 20 minutes a day for you. And now you have your personal branding business. You help women succeed in business. It's been such a transformation. And so
it's been amazing.
You have a really amazing story, and I would love it if you could share kind of your journey from employee to boss.
Yes. Oh my God. It's so cool that that's the name of your podcast, because I think that so many times that's part of the story for many business owners is very overlooked. Mm-hmm. So I am actually going to go back all the way to 2008, but I'm going to try to make it short. I'm not going to tell you everything about it. But so I'm originally from Argentina, and I came to the US because I was a world champion flair bartender. So for those that don't know what that is, I'm not going to get into it, but making it simple is when you flip the bottles before you make the drink. And I was a performer. So I had this job that was amazing, and it was fun, and I loved it at the time. But I always knew there was something else for me. I just didn't know what was it. But even back in the day when I was bartending, I felt like I was making a difference. And at the time was the whole performing and helping people have their best vacation ever. But I always knew that I wanted more. So in 2008, I went to school for photography, and I ended up opening a studio here in Vegas, which it was a side hustle. And guys, it was a freaking struggle. It was hard. It was hard to run a business. And then I got pregnant, and I really, really thought that that was my way out of bartending, because even though I loved my job, I couldn't see myself being in that industry forever. So in my brain, I was like, I'm going to grow this photography business. And at the time I was doing portraiture and I loved it. But for some reason, I couldn't see myself doing it for the rest of my life. And that was a huge hurdle for me to actually go full time. Because if you don't see yourself doing something forever and you don't feel that, like, I was passionate about doing it, but I was more passionate about my own reason, which was leaving my job, than any kind of purpose that I had with like helping others make their memories or whatever it was, that it didn't really move me. So I couldn't really take myself off the equation of bartending. So it was really, really hard, because when you're in a job, when you're making a lot of money and you're very comfortable, you have to make a lot of compromises to actually grow your business. And I found myself going back after my kid was born, 23 months later. So this wasn't like 5 minutes, about 2 years into it, having my business was pretty successful, but I felt like I had these 2 babies, and honestly, going back to my job felt easier. So this is where the actual journey begins, because once I went back to the job, I don't even think it was like 3 or 4 months in, I was like, holy crap, what am I doing here? And that's when I realized that I really needed to do a lot of self-digging and be, what do I really want from a business? What do I want to create? And what do you want to create is so beyond just the money that you want to make. What is the life that you want to live? How do you want to live it? How do you want to work with people, etc.? And that is when I always say network marketing found me. Mm-hmm. I always say what you are seeking is also seeking you. Network marketing found me, and it was great. It's not something I'm pursuing right now in my life, but what was amazing for me, it really opened these kind of worms. And I was like, oh my God, there is all this growth and all these stories and all these things that women, especially because I was in an all women-led team. And it was crazy to me how they were led by impact and how they were led by helping others. And something just lit up for me there. And mind you, at this point in my career, I was still running my photography business, and I was still working as a bartender, and I was a mom, and I was doing triathlons. I was doing all the things, but something lit up inside of me, and I was like, oh my God, I think I know what I want to do. So what I was growing my network marketing business. I was working with a lot of women in the photography side to helping them grow their personal brand, because if you're in network marketing, everybody's selling the same product. So the product is not the differentiator. And it became really clear to me that the differentiator was each and every person, what their message was, what their why was, why they were doing what they were doing, and what they wanted to create in the world. And my passion just soared from there. Mm-hmm. And I'm so grateful for network marketing for showing me all that. But at some point I was like, you know what? I have something that I want to create here. And here I go. And I pivoted in 2017 into full personal branding photography. And at the time, I was offering upgrades to their photo shoots to help them with their social media. And that grew into what it is today, the View Brand Academy, the personal branding membership, which the View Brand Academy is a whole 1-year transformational experience for women from zero to hero. And the personal branding membership, where I'm still helping women through their photography and through social media, right? So it all started with self-digging.
I love that. I love that so much.
Was that too long?
No, that was amazing. I love that because, you know, what you just said, the differentiator between, you know, there's a million realtors out there. There's a million podcasts out there. And I always ask podcasters what makes them stand out. Sometimes they're like, oh, it's this, it's this. But the bottom line is it's them. They're what makes their podcast stand out. And so something that you work a lot with your clients on is actually having them show their face online. And when people have a podcast, it's really easy to hide behind the microphone. It's easy to not show up. And even in some industries like realtors or a million different ones, you can just not show your face, but that's not going to make you stand out. So do you want to talk about the BU Brand Academy and kind of the transformation people go through when they start building up their personal brand?
Yeah, and not so like, okay, so I love obviously talking about the BU Brand Academy, but I wanna take you a little bit back or how it was born and why I think this is so important.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why the BU Brand Academy is called that is because I think that where most people are confused when it comes to showing their face or being the face of the brand is they really don't have an understanding of why they started on the first place, what they don't really see that transformation that they offer to other people. So let me break that down for you. So number one is let's continue with the example of the realtor. A lot of realtors will tell you, oh, I sell houses. You don't really sell houses. You are the person that is making somebody's dream come true. Either is their first home, either is their dream home that they are moving into. Like I'm working with somebody right now. I'm in Las Vegas. She's in Oklahoma. And what we both agree on is she is their first Oklahoma friend. Her niche is actually helping people move from other states to Tulsa. And her biggest thing is I'm their first Oklahoma friend, because when they move here, I'm the resource, right? To help them, their schools. Where am I gonna like transfer my kids from ballet to ballet in Tulsa? Where if they're coming from another state and they're going to a private school, literally she's that resource for them. And that is so much more than, oh, I just sold you a house, right? Yeah. So I sold you a house. Anybody can sell you a house, but not everybody's going to be your first friend on the new city. And that is because she is really digging into what are her strengths, and she actually loves doing that, right? She loves being that research. She loves helping them find homes that have all these things around it. So going back to the transformation is once you understand how you're helping people, all of a sudden that fire, like I shared for me, right? Like why I didn't have that passion. And yes, of course, it's important to have photos. I still, till this day, sometimes I do some of my clients for portraiture, but that just didn't lead up that fire for me. But for me to help other women to go online, tell their story on and offline, tell their story so they can help other people, that leads me up. So when I think of why I'm not showing up or why I don't want to put my face, and this is for everybody, because when they first start, it's like, why do they need to see my face? At the end of the day, if you want people to invest with you, they have to know, like, and trust you. And no, like, would you trust anybody that doesn't show their face? Why there was so much going on when we all were in the mask, right? And people were like all freaked out at the beginning. After a while, we all got used to it. But it's because we're used to seeing people's facial expressions. If we listen to their voice, how they are talking, are they using the same words as us? So now there is no need for you to be like, I need to be perfect, or I need to use other words, because when you are you and you're clear on what you bring into the table, that is your driver.
Do you want to start growing your business rapidly in a really fun way? Do you want to increase your visibility and profits? I have just the thing for you. My course, Great Guesting, How to Grow Your Business Through Being a Podcast Guest, is now available, and it's guaranteed to get you on podcasts. Do you want to connect with more clients, share your story, make stronger connections, and grow your audience? But do you find that you're second guessing yourself, are indecisive on a topic because you're into so many things, and thinking, is this even possible? You'll love this step-by-step guide on how to be a podcast guest. We go over 6 lessons that are knowing your story, narrowing down the topic, finding podcasts to be on, setting up your audio, preparing to record, and of course, marketing, because that's what I'm all about. Being a guest can be fun, but if you don't have a plan to go with it, you're really just spending the hour talking. You're not moving your business forward, and that's exactly what this course is designed to teach you. You can find this course on my website at Espresso Podcast Production, and I guarantee you that you will be a guest on podcasts in no time. Absolutely. That's so true. Can you share some ways that we can get clear on that? Because a lot of people who listen to this podcast are still in those beginning phases of business. So, it's that trial phase where I started off as a virtual assistant and quickly realized that wasn't for me. And so then I got into podcasting and found my why. But, it's a process. So what do you advise people on when they're trying to figure out their why? Because you work with people who are just starting out their personal brand.
Yeah. So usually my clients are in the first few years of business, and a lot are also transitioning from their jobs where they're really, really good at. So for example, we just had somebody graduate who is a nutritionist, right? But she's amazing at what she does, and she always worked in clinical, but now she wants to offer her own services around sports nutrition. So we really hone in on her showing up as the expert. Now she knows a lot about nutrition. She's been a nutritionist for 10 years, but now she has to show up as an expert. So the number one thing that I would say is, I call these the formula for brand clarity, is number one is who you are. Give yourself some sort of title. So I know there is a lot of talk about niching down, but I feel like the first year of business is not the time for niching down, right? But give yourself a title. So for example, for you, Haley, you are, I might butcher this, don't kill me, but you might be, I am your podcast bestie, right? So for example, for me, I call myself your personal branding bestie all the time, right? And give yourself some kind of title that really tells people who you are. It's not enough with saying, hi, I'm Haley Hurst. Well, that's your name. That's not really who you are. So who you are is this identity in your industry. So people immediately are going to find out, do I want to listen more? Do I not want to listen more? But then also is giving you clarity. So that's number one, who you are. What you do. What do you do? It's crazy, you guys, how many people cannot articulate what they do in 30 seconds. So I help people build profitable personal brands on and off social media. Boom. So my name is Ati Grinspun. I'm your personal branding bestie, and I help women who are the face of their brand build personal brands on and off social media. Boom. So now, from there, now you are having clarity, but then the person that receives the message is having clarity, right? So I want you to fill out. So who you are, what do you do? How do you do it? How do you do it? So for me, it's that we help women build profitable personal brands on and offline through coaching, photography, workshops, what it is. How can people work with you? Okay. So who you are, what do you do? How do you do it? And who do you do it for? Right? So now all of these don't need to be especially in that order. But the reason why it's a formula is because when you have that, now you can start saying, okay, from there, you can start being clear for other people. And if you have read Start With Why, I want you to think about, why do you love creating this transformation for other people? So for me, I know that when I was bartending, once I became a mom, there was something changed in me. And as I got into network marketing and started working with women, I realized that a lot of these women really wanted to make a difference in the world. And I started thinking about myself, what difference am I going to make in the world? So for me, I want every woman that, in general, I work with a lot of women over 35 that already had another career, that I'm like, you can kick the board and start over. Right? So when people tell me, what is your why? I know that for me, it was so hard. It was getting out of the shell. Once I was out, it was okay. But then they are like, okay, yes, I want to do it. And now what? And that's where I come in.
Right. The now.
Right?
Yeah, totally.
In the now, okay, yeah. Okay, I'm a nutritionist. I'm
how do I tell people what I do? How do I get my brand out there? I was on a coaching call yesterday she was actually a nutritionist too, and she started a
That's funny.
podcast for, women with diabetes. She wants to teach them like meals to cook. And she had this big disconnect because she wanted to start getting sponsors for her podcast. And I was like, okay, like you have a couple episodes out, you totally could get sponsors, but don't you want to get clients first? Like, don't you want to grow your business first? She's like, yeah. And I told her, I was like, put in your own commercials for your business in your podcast before you put anyone else's in. And it literally blew her mind. Like, it's so simple, but she was like, I've never thought about that before. And so we're so quick to talk about other people's businesses, other people's successes, but it's hard to talk about what we do. And so by knowing your why, that makes it very simple.
So number one, I think we actually do an exercise where we do write down all our wins, and not only work wins. There is this misconception in business that you have to be an expert at everything. And I'm going to give you this example. This was actually told to me by a coach one time, and my mind was blown. And it was, you only need to be an expert at what you are an expert at. So let me unpack it. So for example, you, Haley, you are an expert at helping people with their podcast. I am an expert at personal branding, coaching, and photography, right? Now, we may or may not have businesses that are at 6 figures. You may have, I don't know, the best website, and I don't know, whatever it is. None of that is any of your client's interest. Your client is probably not hiring you based on how much your business brought in last year. You may actually be an amazing podcast host, an amazing podcast coach, and then you may be horrible with money. And you may spend all your money on having this crazy expensive website and be zero profitable because you're horrible with money. Another coach may bring in less revenue, right? But they are amazing with money, and that does not take away from your expertise. The expertise that you're actually promoting your business to be. So for example, when my nutritionist client, right? Like, she might be an amazing nutritionist. She may feel imposter syndrome because she's like, oh my God, I didn't make any money last year. Well, you were working on clinicians last year. So if you started in October and you had your business for 3 months and you only made $10,000, you can't base your worth on that. Absolutely. Because your belief in what you do has to be based on the thing that you offer. And I think that especially with podcasters, we like in the online world, there is this huge talk and comparison, which you are successful if you're making $10,000 months and you're making $100,000 a year. I don't know who put that standard, but there is people that actually want to live in Bali and they live like kings making $3,000 a month.
Right.
And that looks like success to them.
Mm-hmm.
End of the deal. And they're amazing at what they do. For other people, success is working 4 hours a day, right? And making $2,000 a month. And for other people, it's $10,000 a month, $100,000, $200,000, 500, a million, whatever it is. So the biggest issue going back, which is putting yourself out there as the expert, is believing that you are the expert.
Exactly.
So when we go back to that formula for brand clarity, who you are, what you do, who do you do it for, and how do you do it, and your why. Start telling people why you want to help them, why it's important to you that you help them, and what's in it for them. And you have to be clear and stop trying to offer all the things. Come down to this one thing, and then from there you can start adding.
Yes, absolutely.
And write down all the things that you already done. So for me, this would look like, I was a world champion flair bartender. Does this has anything to do with personal branding? No. But you believing that you did hard things, you believing that you already succeeded It's gonna make you understand that it's okay. You can be a beginner again, right?
Sure.
Like it could look like I finished a half Ironman, nothing to do with personal branding. Hey, I have these many clients. Something I do is I have a folder in my phone when clients send me, oh my God, so for example, somebody was like, oh my God, I just reached my quarterly income goal or whatever, right? I have a full folder of testimonials that is not even real testimonials. It's like back and forth messages in our threads of their wins. Because when we all have doubt, when you have doubt, you can go and be like, oh my God, my clients are seeing all these results.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
has
have another
nothing to do
client
with
that
just,
does that too. And I think it's just like so powerful to see like what you've done, the successes that you've given other people, because yeah, in business, there's going to be those moments where it just seems easier to go back to a 9-to-5 life. Not
like, I'm going to tell you, I have not met one business owner that at some point was like, is this even worth it?
Yeah. We've all been there.
Yeah, of course. And that's when you really need to get rooted on your why, especially because people confuse their personal why with their business why a lot of the time. And your personal why is going to change. Yeah. Your kids are going to grow. Now you want to spend time with them. You want to have flexibility. You want to travel. Life is going to change. Your personal why is going to change. But usually your business why, that motivation of helping others, or maybe making a difference, or maybe you have a nonprofit, that usually is a constant. You can elevate it and it can evolve, but usually that is the constant.
Yeah.
And that is the purpose. And when you have that purpose, you can tie your hard work back to that.
Absolutely. And to go back to presenting yourself as the expert that you are, one of the things that you teach your clients and kind of encourage them to do is be guests on podcasts.
Yes.
And you do that for yourself. And I love that because I love all things podcasting. But yes. Can you talk about, the benefits that you've seen from being a guest on podcasts?
Absolutely. So number one, this is how we teach personal branding. We have a pyramid, right? So we have organic lead generation, and for the new people creating a business, if you don't know what lead generation is literally the lifeblood of your business. Mm-hmm. If you're not generating new leads in your business, which is eyes into your business that they're interested in what you have to offer, you're not going to have a business. So I know that nobody wants to hear that, but the way we do it is we talk about organic lead generation, which is social media, right? Email marketing. So all the efforts that you are putting and the people that you are bringing in. Okay. So I want you to keep that in mind. And the second one is networking on or offline. The third one is teaching something. So you are positioning yourself as an expert. And the fourth one is borrowed audiences. Borrowed audiences is the most powerful, and I want you to listen to this, is the most powerful way for you to grow your own audience. Mm-hmm. So borrowed audiences can look something like this. Presenting in other people's Facebook groups and programs, podcasting, mm-hmm. right? Being a guest on somebody's networking event as a presenter. The reason is because now you're relying on somebody else's to invite their audience to see you. So for example, I'm going to be very, very straightforward here. So you, Haley, have your own audience. They don't know me. They don't know who Ati Grinspun is. After this podcast, women that are called to build their personal brand, that have no idea what to say, what to do, how to really show up as an expert on and off social media, they might be, you know what, I'm going to go follow her on Instagram. I just capture your audience through this podcast. So I want you to think, if you make being a guest on a podcast, which we actually teach you how to do it, the scripts, how many you should be in, and you make it part of your strategy, and you are in front of a new audience every single week, how much faster your own audience would grow, right?
Exactly.
That is huge. The other one is that when you're a guest on somebody else's podcast, you are automatically endorsed by that person in some way. Some people call it the halo effect, which is, but by me being here, you are telling your audience, I believe in this person. I like what she has to offer. I trust her. So you're transferring, right, your own trust into your guest. So when you as a business owner, you commit to being in front of new audiences every single week, these people that are coming into your world, they already kind of know you, but they already trust you because somebody they trust interview you.
Exactly. I have a course on how to be a podcast guest, and that's what this is all about. You know, I go live on Instagram every week. I go live on Facebook every week, and it's all about that audience borrowing or audience sharing. And as a podcast host, by having guests on, you get to borrow their audience too once, you know, they promote that episode. So listeners, if you're not convinced yet, I don't know what will convince you, because you need to be talking about your business and sharing what you do to other people. Just like Ati's saying, you need to get in front of eyes that have not seen you already.
I would love to add something because I do teach a lot of social media strategies, but I want people to understand when you are putting content out there, your job, number one, is to create amazing content that is valuable to your audience. But part of your job is bring new eyes to that content. Mm-hmm. And that's where I think people go wrong, right? Because building your personal brand is not just about social media. It's about how you are perceived. And if people are not perceiving you as an expert, so if you have a problem in a knee, right, in your knee because you were running, or in your hip, are you going to go see an elbow specialist?
Right.
So when you are constantly showing up on other people's podcasts, on other people's Instagrams, you're always repeating your message, and you use your formula for brand clarity. When people ask you, hey, Ati, what do you do? Oh, I'm your personal branding coach, BFF. I'm your personal branding photographer, right? Like, and who do you work with? Oh, I work with women who are the face of the brand. And you are repeatedly saying that over and over, and people start seeing you everywhere. Guess what? You're an expert.
I love that. In our last couple of minutes, I love to end every episode like this. I would love it if you could share 3 actionable tips that the audience can start with today that can get them to where you are, or get them ahead in growing their personal brand. What do you challenge people to start today?
So this is something that people take for granted, which is, I call it the cycle of content. So I want you to get really hyper focused on creating like one piece of content this week that you're so like proud of. Mm-hmm. But the reason why I say that is because people are so desperate to go and just post something that they post crap. So once you created that piece of, that can be a reel, that can be a video, that can be going live, one piece of content, then I want you to share it with at least 10 people. And if you're on Instagram, this is super, super easy, right? You can just send it to them. Say, hey, I just posted this. Would you give me some feedback? Yeah. Is this something that talks to you? And I'm going to tell you why that I'm giving you that challenge. Number one is you have to be in the content. There has to be your face. I totally forgot about that part.
Face is important. Yeah.
That is super important. That's why I would love for this to be either a photo with something that they're teaching. It could be a reel. It could be a video, something that you are proud of. Put a little bit of thought, how you can help. And then send it to 10 people with a message and be like, hey, I just created this. Is this of value to you? Does this address something that is happening to you? Is this something that you would share? Would you give me some feedback? And there is a double whammy here. Because number one, I might challenge you to put yourself out there. But number two, I am challenging you to actually talk to people.
Yeah.
Because I think the biggest issue right now on social media, even though everybody's talking about social media should be social, is people are not being social. People are posting and leaving the platform hoping that somebody's going to see their post. Your job as a business owner, your job as a personal brand is to talk about your business.
Exactly.
How are you going to help people?
Yeah.
Right? So create a piece of content that contains your face in it, that you are absolutely proud of, not just to post a piece of content. If you're on LinkedIn, this could be an article.
Yeah.
If you're a podcaster, this could be a mini, or what do they call it? Like a micro podcast.
Yeah, like a mini episode. Yeah.
Like a mini episode, be like, hey, this was in my heart. I recorded a 5-minute episode and I would love your feedback on it.
Yeah.
So the reason why I said that is because content is not just a post on social media. And that's where a lot of people go wrong. So it could be anything. If you are doing a podcast episode, like a mini podcast episode, when you send it, you have to have a photo with your face in it.
I love it. I love it so much. Thank you so much, Ati, for joining me today. How can people connect with you? And then I know you have your boot camp coming up, your free 5-day boot camp. So if you want to tell us where we can find you and how to get involved in that personal branding boot camp.
So we are hosting a 5-day personal branding bootcamp that is going to start on June 27th. It is hosted on Zoom. And the reason why I say this is because this is full access to me, you guys. We are going to build, I'm going to explain you what a personal brand is. I'm going to explain you how to get your personal brand out there. We're going to talk about content. We're going to talk about different platforms and how to pick the platform for you. So I am going literally to build your brand with you live during those 5 days. And then the way you can find me is I'm on super active on Instagram. That is my home, is ati.g.branding. So ATI.g.branding, and that is on Instagram. I also have a Facebook group. It's an amazing community of women. It's called Personal Branding Strategies for Female Entrepreneurs. Sorry, guys. And if you are in Las Vegas, I also have a local event that is amazing. So go look me up on Instagram. Let me know that you found me here on the podcast. But if you want to register for the bootcamp, you can go to Grinspun.com/brand clarity. That if you reach out to me on Instagram, let me know you found me on the Employee to Boss podcast, and I will take care of you.
Awesome. Well, Ati, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for joining me, and I am very excited for your boot camp that's coming up.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I am so proud of you, and I can't wait to see you go to even bigger heights.
Oh, I'm so proud of you too. All right, let's talk soon. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Employee to Boss podcast. If you made it to the end of this episode, I hope that you implement the actionable steps from this week's experts so you can get started with your business today. Please rate, review, and subscribe to the Employee to Boss podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. It helps more than you could ever imagine. Remember, a little progress each day leads to big results. We come out with a new episode every Tuesday. To access our show notes, transcripts, and courses, please check out espressopodcastproduction.com.